Hey folks, Herb Tarbus again. Last couple of videos we talked about the county line. We're going to do one more. This one's going to show you just how bad it can get, because in addition to the county line being so horrible, the clerk can also exercise discretion to make it even worse. And so that's what we're going to go over today. Try to get it done quickly as possible for you. Here we go. So in the 2017 primary election, right, there's a ballot construction process, and there's two parts to it: the ballot draw, random draw, and a ballot design. So in the ballot draw for the governor's race, there's two parties with different factions in each party. The establishment approved people in each party are the ones that get the county line, and then there's other folks running, and some of them were progressive Dems. Jim Johnson, John Wozniak were progressive folks running. Now in the ballot draw, random process supposedly, this is how the numbers came out, right? So as we take that to the next step of the ballot construction, we see the folks are laid out in this order, right? So now how is the design done? There's first of all, there's a thing called bracketing, where down ballot candidates can bracket with one of the gubernatorial candidates. So in this case, these are the folks for Phil Murphy and Jack Citarelli who bracketed with their respective gubernatorial candidates. None of the other gubernatorial candidates chose to bracket with any down ballot candidates. Now in the ballot itself, there's 8 columns available, right? They don't all have to be used, but there's eight available for this election. And one way that the design could have gone is that to use the most compact design of 6 columns. And the way that this would have looked is like this: that, you know, Johnson in column 1, Murphy in column 2 has to have a column to himself because he has bracketed candidates with him. And then the other 4 Democratic candidates could have been put in column together. And then on the Republican side, the folks could have been put into 3 columns like this. And this ultimately was the way that the Republican side of the ballot ended up looking, right? So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is that you could add a 4th column for the Democrats. So in that case, it would look like this, right? Add the 4th column for the Democrats. That way, in column 3, instead of having 4 people here, you can spread them out between 2 columns, so it's just a little less crowded, and you have the space. So this could be another way it could be done. Both of these first 2 configurations, you could consider them to be defensible and basically fair given the constraints, right? But then there's another way it could have been done. You could add a 5th column for the Democrats, right? And you could take it, and it would look this way, where, you know, you just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? This is the way that it could have been done. Again, if you want to take a design principle that we should use all the columns, and since the Democrats had more candidates than Republicans, you could justify giving the Democrats 1 more column than Republicans on the ballot. But this is not what happened. They did go to 5 ballots, but what they did is that they wanted to have Wiz alone. I believe that this is the way they were thinking. They wanted to have Wiz with John Wisniewski alone by himself on the 2nd row. So they rearranged it to look like this, where they dropped Wisniewski in this column to number 5 and Brennan number 6. Now, that was seen to be a totally arbitrary decision. Why is it this column that has 2 people in it? It could have been any one of these 3 columns, but by choosing this column and by choosing to go 4, 5, 6 rather than 4, 5 and put 6 somewhere else, they were able to drop John Wisniewski into the 2nd row, which I believe was premeditated and a way to punish John Wisniewski for having been a progressive Democrat and having been Bernie Sanders' campaign manager in New Jersey in 2016. Now, there's another aspect here. You have to also design other down ballots, right? So there was another group of progressives running. This is the folks on my team, actually, the Central Jersey Progressive Democrats. So we were not bracketed with any gubernatorial. There's a whole story behind that with, you know, politics and, you know, so on and so forth. But I won't get into that. But they could have been put in column A, right? Column A is wide open. Why not just put them all the way to the left in column A? Well, you know what? The machine didn't like that. They didn't like that idea, I don't believe. So what they did is that they said, no, we don't want them in column A. And also, we don't want them bracketed with another progressive. So we're going to move them to column C. And this is something that Bill Irwin actually challenged in court. And the judge basically agreed with us that this was an arbitrary and biased decision, but he chose not to make an order to the clerk to change it. So this is the way, and this is the way the ballot ultimately ended up. So this is the ballot, the one ballot that I believe is the indefensible ballot, because it clearly shows bias against John Wisniewski and bias against the other down ballot progressives. Yet this is the ballot they used. You can see here, here's the ballot from 2017. You see John Wisniewski in the 2nd row. You see Bill Irwin and the rest of that team in column C. And you see that the Republicans had 3 columns. So this is just another sort of another, whatever you want to call it, another straw to break the camel's back about why this primary ballot system in New Jersey is totally, totally undemocratic and unfair, and we must get rid of it. We must get rid of it. Thanks, guys.